activate the music, and we shall now do the news that you may have missed.
No,
Talk
he's
about
not
the
going to forget the
news
music.
that you may have missed. Shut up.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. So proud of you.
So, from Time, they have named their 2022 Person of the Year. Who is it? Volodymyr Zelensky.
Volodymyr. Oh, he's actually using like the official like pronunciation.
Volodymyr.
I just call him Vladimir.
Yeah. Well, not
So much simpler.
Vladimir.
That's
Volo.
Vladimir. That's the Americanized version, Vladimir.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not like these uppity like Ukrainians over here.
Well, I'm not
Well,
Ukrainian.
might be.
I could just do accents.
I
I can't
It's like-
maintain accents, but
What
I
are you
can
gonna do?
do
Like,
accents.
Are you gonna be like, is Pakistan in Afghanistan?
Oh no,
you
I'm
can do
not
like-
that uptight.
All right, continue.
It is Ukrainsky.
Ukraine.
Yeah. So Volodymyr Zelensky has been named the 2022 Person of the Year because he has inside Ukraine, he's done an okay job of inspiring his people and continuing to raise their morale and raise their spirits to fight off the Russians. Outside of Ukraine, he is a dick because he wants the West to start World War III in order so that Ukraine can survive. Because if Russia really pulls out its guns against Ukraine, Ukraine is toast.
Mm-hmm.
Henceforth, he wants the West to bomb and nuke Moscow first, and then Ukraine would have a chance, but then the rest of the world would be covered in war. So, not this Person of the Year, according to us. He's probably going to be the runner-up douche of the year. So, I think we've already picked our candidates for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is a good time to mention this. The 27th of December.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work for a year-end wrap-up?
I'm gonna be in Kelowna, so
Okay.
it's gonna be tough.
All right. Well, we'll try.
We'll
and
talk
figure-
about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
We'll figure something out.
All right. So,
Oh, by the way, just a really quick note. Like when it comes to a Time Person of the Year does not necessarily mean a good thing. Because remember, like Hitler was the Person of the Year
Yep.
one
He was.
year, and so was Stalin, and so were a lot of other very notorious people. So, Person of the Year is just basically the person who had the biggest impact during that year.
mm-hmm.
So I choose to see this as he's not famous, he's infamous this past year. Because he actually wanted to start World War III. What a tool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about the next story. New York Post. Latest Twitter files reveal secret suppression of right-wing commentators. Oh, we called it. We knew it, you jerks. The second installment of Elon Musk's Twitter files dropped Thursday night and reveals how the social media giant was secretly blacklisting conservative tweets and users. Independent journalist Barry Wise detailed in a series of posts how Twitter used so-called shadow banning to limit the visibility of tweets coming from far-right users. Conservative talk show host Dan Bongino, Stanford University's anti-COVID lockdown advocate Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and right-wing activist Charlie Kirk were among the users targeted for suppression by Twitter, according to Wise. The former New York Times and Wall Street Journal writer said that the blacklists were built in secret and without informing users. So we had hints of this in the past because Project Veritas verified with like Twitter employees that they were blacklisting and shadow banning people.
Mm-hmm.
So a new Twitter files investigation reveals the teams of Twitter employees built blacklists, prevent disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limit the visibility of entire accounts and even trending topics, all in secret without informing users. She knows that the company strayed from its original mission of giving everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers by developing the methods to suppress specific individuals. By the way, anyone who uses like YouTube, anyone who uses Facebook, and people like who are big profile people on there, they've all noticed YouTube totally messes with users' data. They shadow ban, they limit your reach, they totally interfere. Facebook does the exact same thing. They even tell you, it's like, oh, we don't like what you shared, so for the next 90 days, your posts are going to be like downranked in our algorithms. In other words, they're shadow banned. So it's a big deal. Now, what this is it's not something that like is shocking, like people didn't know this, but it pretty much gives hard evidence, indisputable evidence that this was happening. Now, of course, everyone on the left, like including the White House, are saying like, well, we have to be careful. We have to be so scared of hate speech. It's like, no, you guys are playing the same old drum. The real danger here is that it's the suppression of actual, like, legitimate voices instead of letting everyone speak properly. So, thankfully, it looks like Twitter is quickly becoming an oasis for truth.
Yep.
Which they love hates.
Yep. And I've been, like it's really great what you can now say on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I've been testing, of course, all of this with trends and all this. There's still a lot of leftists on Twitter, but
of course,
there's a lot more conservatives to have clapbacks. So it's a lot better than it used to be. And you won't get flagged for having a point that people disagree with, like you used to be able to.
Well, I think here's something really quick I could share about that. Okay, so people like everyone from Karine Jean-Pierre, like the worst press secretary ever, they're all saying like, oh my goodness, hate has exploded. Like, how they measure that? Who knows? Just totally by their whims. But like, if you really think about it, okay. So before, leftists, whenever somebody shared or said something they didn't like, they would go after them, and then they would like mass like flag a post and report them and all that kind of stuff, and that would get them removed. So basically, they were able to their bad behavior and their like bullying and attacks were rewarded in the past. But now that they're not getting away with mass flagging campaigns and mass reporting campaigns, and now that they themselves run the risk of being hit by these very same things, the actual level of hate, I think, has actually gone down. Like, if you really think about it, that actually makes sense. Because they no longer have the run of the show. And so they kind of have to be a little bit more picky and choosy about what they go after. So, it's actually a better place overall. Take it, Steven.
So, Elon Musk slams New York Times as an unregistered lobbying firm for complete lack of coverage on Twitter files. Republicans want to investigate Facebook, Google for acting as arms of the Democratic Party, because they clearly are. Twitter owner Elon Musk accused the New York Times of being a lobbying firm rather than a serious news organization after it failed to cover in any depth the revelations that Twitter engaged in mass censorship, particularly with regards to the Hunter Biden laptop fiasco. He has increased his personal security in response to concerns over his safety following the release of his first dump of files. I don't know if we mentioned this on Tuesday, but Tim Pool has been bringing this up. Elon Musk has said that he will not do autographs. He won't do autographs ever again because the threat of assassination and personal harm is so high. It's really, really scary, actually, considering all he's really doing is just saying, well, I'm going to make sure the platform is more equal and less biased. They're like, you can't do that. You must die. Well, it's like, you look at what happened to Tim Pool. Like, Tim Pool's house got broken into. People were, like, casing the joint, like, looking to try and see how they could penetrate the perimeter. Like, being an activist on the right has a lot more serious threats associated with it than being a presenter or a lobbyist on the left.
Yeah, sure.
Despite what anybody says.
By the way, I just want to comment. Really, a guy named Hogman. He said the mass reporting still happens. It does. I totally agree. It still happens. But from what I've heard from the various places that I've heard, mass reporting, mass flagging, and all that it's not having as much of an effect as it used to
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter. Because remember,
Yes.
in the past, you had these hardcore leftist moderators that whenever they would receive anything against a conservative account, they'd have like this trigger happy, like, like ban finger that they would always use.
Yeah.
The problem is most of those people have been fired from Twitter, and most of the people that remain are trying to enforce things more openly and evenly.
Yes.
So while it is still happening, and it does happen on Facebook, YouTube, it does happen on all these other platforms that are still heavily influenced by far left lunatic ideologues, Twitter is no longer the place that I think it has been in the past.
I actually don't know who Warlord Dilly is. I'm
look
still
up?
waiting. Well, if I look it up on Twitter, it'll just tell me that the account is suspended. Just like what happens when I look up my own old accounts that got banned in 2018 because of mass reporting, because I was arguing against pro-aborties, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're a pro-lifer, and that means you hate women," and that, like, there was enough. They basically, the Dilly. I don't know actually what that is. I'll have to look that up. So, things to look up. Hogman, thank you for contributing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take the next story. So,
of course.
So this is from the Gateway Pundit. Breaking exclusive: Daniel Kimmich deposition by MO and LA Attorney Generals.
There we go.
Reveals State Department was funding online fact checkers. Again, what does this show? It shows that these are not private companies anymore. These are legitimately arms of the government and thus subject to like First Amendment laws and all these kind of things. So here's what they found. The Gateway Pundit reported over the weekend that the FBI and DOJ were working with big tech to target conservatives. This was recently confirmed, and although we have suspected this of taking place for years, they know that Jim Hoff is a co-plaintiff along with several doctors in the Louisiana news outlet in Missouri and Louisiana lawsuit against the Biden administration. The attorney generals of Missouri and Louisiana are the Biden administration, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, DOJ, Jen Psaki, Anthony Fauci, Health and Human Services, Xavier Becerra, and other federal agents and agencies for colluding with big tech to censor Americans across the nation. The lawsuit, the most important First Amendment lawsuit in America in the last 60 years, has turned into a barn burner, but the good guys are actually winning this time. In October, a federal judge ruled that even before the court decides the government's motion to dismiss the lawsuit, Anthony Fauci and a number of other clowns, including former State Department Daniel Kimmich, must sit on deposition and spill their guts. So I don't know if they kind of go into some more details of what they found.
Well,
but it sounds like they've pretty much proven that the fact checkers, the funding for the online fact checkers, are actually in bed with the State Department.
Oh yeah,
right. And that's kind of a major. Again, before it's all speculation. We knew it was likely happening, but this is now now it's undeniable. It's hard facts. You can't say that this is speculation or conspiracy theories. It's now, nope, this is now official. Here's why this is important. Because companies like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and a lot of other companies, they basically use these fact checkers. And of course, the whole concept of fact checking is that they basically said like, oh, there's this unbiased third party. And so when Facebook gets one of these approved fact checkers, and they look at somebody's sharing of some fact or information, and they rated like, oh, this is like fake news, this is false. Facebook treats that as face value and uses their report in order to basically ban you or punish you for sharing information, right? This gives them legal cover so that they can do it without like people going after Facebook for like being the arbiters of truth. The problem is, and this is something Stephen and I have like known for a long time because we've looked into it, is that anybody who really knows and understands how this works, they know that fact checkers are pretty much BS. They are completely partisan. Some of the fact checks are so atrociously bad, and they're done by people who have no credentials of any kind. that they're little more than like tabloid journalism.
Yep.
Like that's how bad these fact checks
but
are.
Danny, that statement
Yes.
is missing context.
No, of course it is.
For those who don't get that reference, missing context is what the fact checkers say when they don't have anything to disprove what you say. They just want it to show up as this statement is false.
No. That statement could mislead people. That one? That was another one they came up with, and like garbage. You're all garbage journalism. But yeah, fact checkers totally like when your funding comes from like one side of the political divide, it completely destroys any pretense of like being unbiased or unbiased third party. Like give me a break.
All right.
Anyways, take it away.
So moving on to the next story from Newsmax. Kirk Cameron to Newsmax. Woke public libraries choose drag queens over Bible. It was actually a fantastic Babylon Bee article that I chose not to use today about the new drag queen. What was like Kirk Lady Cameronian. I was like, okay, that's funny. Actor and author Kirk Cameron told Newsmax on Thursday that more than 50 public libraries have refused his offer to hold a story hour for his new book that promotes biblical values such as peace and love. Those same institutions, Cameron said, while appearing on John Bachman Now, allow reading events for LGBTQ-friendly books. Cameron was on the show to discuss his new book, As You Grow, which is published by Brave Books. It's a book to teach kids biblical wisdom through the seasons of life and growing the sweet fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. Cameron told Bachman, "These are biblical values. I wanted to have a book reading at a public library, and over 50 woke libraries denied my book. At the same time, they're hosting drag queen story hours. And when I asked them why or what we could do, one public library in Rochambeau, Rhode Island, said, we're a queer-friendly library and our messaging does not align." This screams it's almost the exact same story from what we covered on Tuesday about that restaurant that canceled a reservation and basically banned that Christian company from their restaurant because they did not want to host groups that did not align with their values and made their staff and patrons feel unsafe.
Yeah, so like one of the characteristics, one of the values and ethics of the left is radical tolerance, but except radical intolerance of anybody who is not on your team. And this is how they work. This is why Christianity and any kind of Christian author or person, like, it's open season for them. You can discriminate against Christians. But like, don't even think about discriminating against anybody from the favored side. Like it's like Kirk Cameron basically exposed the hypocrisy. Which again, they don't care about hypocrisy because they're obviously very realistic.
They're not ignorant to the fact that it's hypocritical. They're just arrogant to the fact that they don't care.
Yeah, and just for anybody who didn't catch us, like I think a couple weeks ago we covered a story from Fox News where basically they exposed that the people who came up with the drag queen story hour concept. They themselves said two things. One, the entire purpose is to indoctrinate kids in other words, groom them. And two, when they say family friendly, that's coded language. They don't mean family friendly as in safe for the whole family. They mean it's friendly to the family, which is the queer community. In other words, they stated openly their goal is to pretty much bring kids into the queer community and turn them gay. Like, literally, is what they said. So these are not harmless events. They're planned, they're purposeful, and they're basically like people say, like, people might say, oh, it's religion. You're trying to like convert people to religion. I'm like, that's their religion.
Yeah,
they basically want to convert people, and that's acceptable.
The religion of wokeness.
The religion of wokeness.
So high IQ, woke, stupid people.
Okay. So speaking of somebody who basically almost belongs to a cult, like with how completely
almost belongs to a cult.
She's pretty much in a cult, like the Hollywood cult, the leftist cult, the whole thing. So this was from the Toronto Sun. Jennifer Lawrence gets burned for saying she was the first female action star. She can't be this ignorant without about cinema history. So if you haven't heard, Jennifer Lawrence has incurred the wrath of Twitter after saying that she was the first female action star thanks to her role in the Hunger Games. I remember when I was doing the Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work. Because we were told girls and boys can both identify with a male lead, but boys cannot identify with a female lead.
Okay, just hold up. Look at the title of the article from Variety. Get honest about female action heroes. It's like, no.
Oh my gosh. So, like, I'm not gonna go into like the whole thing of what she said, basically, but basically, here's in a nutshell what happened. Jennifer Lawrence is pretty much about as like she fits the dumb blonde,
ditzy,
like the ditzy dumb blonde, like thing, like the whole stereotype, because she's also the one that said publicly that she has nightmares about Tucker Carlson. Like people were like, "Are you kidding me? Like, are you freaking kidding me?" So she is to Hollywood what AOC is to politics. Like they're not blonde, but they're basically the ditzy dumb blonde who basically gets away with all their stupidity because they're famous and because they're pretty and they got nice bodies and all that kind of stuff. So everyone, it doesn't even take much. Let's do a little experiment here, Steven. Let's play a little game. Let's play the name an action movie before 2012 that featured a female like star. Go.
Oh, well, aside from the fact that I'm hosting it on the screen, but even I knew. I was like, well, there's Tomb Raider.
I'm going to go with Aliens.
Yep, with Aliens is Sigourney Weaver. And then I haven't ever actually seen them, but Mila Jovovich from Resident Evil.
You have
Uma Thurman.
Thurman, Kill Bill 2 and 1 and 2.
Yep.
Right, she was the first one.
And like those are just the ones that they mentioned in the first paragraph. Like there was another story that I was reading that had 20 different women that were action leads in films before 2012. But that's what these woke entitled celebrities is completely ignorant. They're either ignorant of the fact that anyone like beat them to the punch of being woke and stupid. Or they're arrogant to the fact that they're hypocritical and they just don't care.
I mean, even if you want to throw in like B-level movies like Twilight. Like Twilight was like the main actor was Kristen Stewart, and she was an action star in a very big franchise that could basically count as an action franchise. I mean, it's obviously drama and all that, but it had action. So like the problem here is that it's not so much that she said an ignorant comment, but it's how blatantly ignorant and how insulting it is to women who came before, who were actually like nobody ever had a problem with, right? This has been the big staple for the last couple of years. People said like, "Oh, you hate what was the name of the character from Star Wars, like the new one,
Rey."
Rey, okay. People were like, "Oh my God, you hate Rey! That's because you can't stand a strong female lead." I'm like, "No, we hate her because she's boring and she's a Mary Sue, and because it's terrible writing and terrible acting. That's why we can't stand her. Not because we can't stand like a positive female lead." And like, there's been ample proof that people are totally on board with strong female characters as long as they're like written well and as long as they're acted well. I have no problem with Thurman in Kill Bill. She did a fantastic job. Yep. And Mila Jovovich in The Fifth Element was fantastic.
No. The Fifth Element? Was that Mila Jovovich?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the one movie I know her from.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
she was a secondary character, but she was definitely like a significant part of that action film. So,
but she was the female she was the
lead.
What do you call it in movies like that? The
co-star,
lead actor. Like there's like
co-lead.
No, what do they call in the Oscar? when you like, the Oscar
Supporting
for,
actress.
Yes, no, but she wasn't a supporting actress. She was the main, the primary actress. What do they call that? Because there's an Academy Award for supporting actress.
Well, there's
the
lead
Academy
actress
Award
and supporting actress.
Okay, so lead actress. So she was the lead actress in that movie, the female. She was.
All right.
Mm.
I will take your word for it.
No, you should.
Well, like I've seen The Fifth Element.
Yeah,
I would
it's a good
find
movie.
her role to be more of a supporting actress than a lead actress.
and because of how she was portrayed.
Yeah.
But was there another female that was like
No, but
more
she
than
was
her?
more of a support role to Bruce Willis because he was the main lead by far.
She was, but she was the main female actress.
Yes, semantics.
And she would no, but she was also she was also not like, okay, Chris Tucker, who was in that movie, like he was not an actiony part of that movie, but she was. She had action scenes that were actually really fun to watch. So I would actually like qualify her as an actual action star. That was actually fun to watch. So yeah.
Yeah. No, Hogman, we tried to stream on D Live. I think in our like 3 or 4 months streaming on D Live, we had nobody, so just dropped it. But so now